wrapped up in my sleeping bag, looking out the window at Erin's house as the sun is beginning to creep over the horizon. And the trees are silhouetted black against the emerging blue sky with the fading stars up in the sky. And I think to myself how much I hate Erin because he's got it fucking made with this fantastic house of his, this nice little piece of property tucked away out in the backwoods of South Dakota. God, I fucking hate him. I hope he dies. I hope he dies of syphilis. You piece of shit.
I failed myself mainly, but also by association, my audience in the previous video I did about women crying because I didn't take notes. Every once I don't take like extensive notes, but there was one analogy that would have really simplified it and conveyed my point much more clearly about adult women crying. Again, kids cry because they got hurt or a reason they're little kids. Men cry because they lost their dog, lost a father, lost a friend in war, or you stepped on a Lego barefoot. But then women as adults, when there is no crisis, no one has died, there's not a body, there is no blood, or there's no Lego on the ground, they cry when reality catches up to them, where they are trying to have their cake and eat it too, to simplify it as easily as possible. And then the responsibility comes crashing down on them, whether that's payment due for a worthless student loan. One could argue the wall. The husband leaves you because you gained weight. Or so you guys also pointed out one where the girl cheats on you, but then gets caught and then cries. And crying is nothing more than twofold. One, coming to the realization that now there's a responsibility side to the equation of the choices you made. And then also crying is a cry for help, a plea for help for somebody else to fix the problem. Particularly when it comes to arguments, which I don't believe in arguments. There should only be adult conversations with no crying, using the exact precise words you mean and mean the words. But it is also then to get the men to help through emotional, and then you guys said a good word, manipulative means, where the guy has to deal with the real world, because if he doesn't kill the dinosaur is going to kill him, although we weren't around when dinosaurs were around, but that's a different matter. It's to have you go and make it all better, to ignore it and go work harder and pay for the SUV, even though you got a pay cut or lost your job. That is what crying is. And if I failed the pinnacle example, I don't know if this happens anymore. I really don't, because this used to be back in the day. I don't know if it does. And maybe, especially I'd like to hear from female cops if this happens. The girl would get pulled over for whatever, speeding, or, careless driving, whatever reason, broke some minor law, and they immediately start crying to get out of the ticket. That, and as I said before, I don't think it's fake. Now, sometimes, yes, they can do it and fake and do it on purpose, boo-hoo-hoo. But I don't think, in a lot of instances, I think they're actually crying. Like, oh, yeah, you got caught. You got caught trying to violate and not live in reality. You got caught trying to have your cake and eat it too. And now Mr. Officer or Miss Officer is saying, here's your $78 ticket. And then the waterworks. And you know what? How many times have you heard? Now, this was when I was young. 70s, 80s, even in the 90s, it must have worked, because girls like, oh, yeah, I cried. And like girls my age in the 90s, but then also adults, the boomer, like, oh, yeah, I cried. I got out of it. It just seems so flippant, so matter of fact, like, because it works. It works. They even, it wasn't crying. It was Cannonball Run 1 or 2. Great movies, by the way. A very young Jackie Chan. Just great fun movies. You could never make them again now, because there ain't no talent in Hollywood, actors or writers. It's just Cannonball 1 and Cannonball Run and Cannonball Run 2. It's just a race across an illegal race across the United States, and different Hollywood celebrities at the time were driving different cars. You had Frank and Dean, or not Frank and Dean. You had Dean and Sammy Davis Jr. You had Dom DeLuise and Burt Reynolds and Frank did have a cameo. Who was driving the Daytona. It's just a spectacular movie. Jaws and Jackie Chan were in the same car. You're missing out. So there were two hot actresses at the time. I don't remember their names because I was a little kid when they came out. And their goal was to be sexy, drive fast, and then get out of speeding tickets by just showing their cleavage. And it worked until they got pulled over by a female cop. The female cop's like, "Hey, how you doing?" "Oh, yeah, no, I ain't gonna work, you know." And I mean, everyone knew it was part of it. We could make fun of it. Now, oh, you can't make fun of that. Some girls' fifis in North America might be offended. Quick, send them to jail. So I wanted to point that there would be the epitomal example is trying to get out of a speeding ticket, and you can use that as a metaphor or an example like, hey, are the same things here. You're violating reality in one way or another. You're getting away with and able to have your cake and eat it too until you're not. Then are you crying? And now is that an emotional plea for having the rest of society or the person, the cop, the husband, whatever, to abandon reality because they just want you to stop with the crying and feel bad for you? Guys, you do not, and then the conclusion is still the same. You never tolerate crying in any adult relationship. Any adult relationship. Again, unless there's a body or a Lego on the floor. There is no crying. And it works. It worked. For you younger boys especially, I know you don't understand it as you get older. For you younger boys especially, the girls are going to cry if something doesn't go their way, and then they want you to overlook the reality that you got to still gap. You still have to mend. And they want you to work more in some way or capacity to solve it for them. No. There is no crying. There are words. The words have meaning, and we will discuss it in a Vulcan level of logic and purpose and meaning and intellectual honesty. And you're going to find out real quick whether she's like an adult. Okay, yeah, you're right. We shouldn't be doing. Okay, yeah, we do have to cut the budget. Or if they're still a petulant little child where mommy and daddy gave them everything. But I want the SUV. I've seen this a lot where you got a ridiculously overpriced house, a house you don't need no more, or it's just too much to begin with. Well, then you go become a fucking surgeon and pay for it. Hey, babe, we don't need this big of house. Or the shit and the stuff. That's another one. Like, yeah, you're getting rid of that shit. What? Get rid of the shit, or I get rid of you. It's how simple. You get to choose. You get to choose humans or shit. What do you want? You'd be shocked how many humans choose shit over humans. And then you're like, okay, fine, I'm by. Look, the world does not. The scenario does not exist in this world where you have storage facilities paying $500 a month rent for shit you don't use, and you and I are together. You get to choose. You'd be amazed how many times people choose the storage person or the storage facility over love. You'd be amazed. All right, link below for those of you adults who still cry is the dad you never had. All right, I should have put that in there in that quote. That's a good lesson to learn: is you never tolerate adults crying. Never. Absolutely not. Right? Could you imagine that? I'm sure it happens, but men crying. Could you imagine if men cried like a little baby? If like, oh, it's my job. Oh my God, I can't afford the SUV. We got to downsize. What? No. Girls, oh my God, somebody call the fucking National Guard because Bipsy won't have her Audi TT no more. Any super chats? No super chats. Chats. There you guys go. We'll see you guys later. Toodles.